What's your name?
My name is Cassie E, and I am 25.
Hey. So I know this is a super deep question to jump into at the beginning, but it's always my first question. Who are you on a soul level?
um, I would describe myself as a very open-minded, free-spirited soul. I kind of go through life not planning things so much, a little bit going with the flow. And I feel like I do have a lot of empathy, and I can be sensitive. I can be really sensitive. I have like a tough outer shell, but yeah, so I feel like in this generation that can be a little challenging being empathetic, just because of I think the world we're raised in right now can be very just social media driven and just like kind of self centered driven. So it's hard to like take a step back and like think about other people and like, how they feel. So I think, yeah, that would describe me.
What do you personally think about social media? And I always ask people this, but I asked later in the interview, but I kind of wanted to ask you now because you do have more followers than a lot of people. So, I mean, do you feel like I know it's also a business opportunity, but does it ever get like, I don't know, draining, or is there anything you didn't expect from like being an influencer?
So as far as social media, I think there's so many pros and cons. I think just this year in 2020, all the light that has been shed on Black lives, I think without social media, that would have never happened.
Mm.
I know people have different opinions on, viral videos and stuff because it can be, very traumatic to us Black people, but I think it's necessary for people to see 100% because that's the only way I feel like some people that just don't understand will get the picture. So I think that, we have a long way to go, but I think that just having social media alone was super helpful for the Black Lives Matter movement. On the negative end, I think it can be, again, like we were talking about, extremely draining for just like seeing that type of stuff. It can be exhausting. It can be bad for your mental health. As far as I've noticed with me, just like taking pictures constantly, I start to just, become so particular about things about myself that I don't like. And I almost find myself happier like the less pictures I take because like I took a like 8-month break from social media and I was like
Wow.
extremely happy. I didn't like completely go off, but I just like as far as like I took a content break, was focusing more on other work, and it just you start comparing like I feel like I compare myself like I'm my hardest critic, whereas some people are maybe comparing to others, but I feel like I'm my hardest critic, so I'm looking at things and seeing details that people aren't even seeing. So I think that you hold yourself to this like high standard, like every photo has to be just as perfect as the next. So I think it can be toxic in that sense. And then as far as just like building relationships with people, there's people I've met online that wouldn't have been possible without social media. So it's good for networking. I don't, and this experience. I mean, without social media, we wouldn't have that. So there's a there's a pros and cons to it, but I think the most important part is like knowing when it's affecting you negatively and how to transform that into something positive, like whether you need to take a little bit of a break per day or, deleting things off your social media that don't make you feel good about yourself or that are draining or so I think that's important.
Yes, I love that answer. Um, what is, I guess, maybe something that has molded you into the person that you are today? So it could be a person, place, or thing. Like, is there anything that has just had a really large influence or anything that's happened? And then after that thing, you felt like you were different?
um I definitely believe my mom has molded me into the person I am today. She is the strongest person I know. We're literally like best friends, tell each other everything. Like, we just talk on the phone for hours per day, and it's like, I don't even know what we're talking about, honestly. And it's funny because she does the same thing with her mom. They just talk for hours on end, and we just have such a close relationship. But I mean, I think we had some tough conversations that, some friends I had, I know their parents didn't have with them. And it was kind of like about, relationships and stuff like that, and boys, and, how they behave, and, things to look out for, and just like tough conversations. Like, this is the reality, and you need to be strong and independent, and you need to have your own, financial stability, and you need to have all of your own stuff and not depend on anyone else. So she taught me to be like very independent for myself, and I think that has definitely molded me who I am today. I would definitely thank my dad for the tough side. He's very um, was military background
Mhm.
and kind of taught me to push through stuff. He definitely molded me into being like the tough person I am. But yeah, I think family was super important in
Yeah,
that aspect.
I feel that. I'm super close to my mom and I talk to her every day, like all the time. So I definitely feel like so during this quarantine, is there anything that you have learned about yourself that you didn't know before? Anything you realized about yourself? Like, was your life very different before? I feel like maybe you were like always out and then now you're kind of like in the house, have to look inward.
Um, I think it's definitely made me more mindful financially. As far as like creative hobbies, I feel like I've had more time to tap into um, my hobbies, but I mean, it just made me value and appreciate like, time at home, and just really the people I love. My friends, we've never talked this much because I feel like adult friendships, when everyone kind of moves away, I mean, some people are fortunate to have everyone in their circle still close, but all my friends kind of moved away. We all live in different places, so we've talked more than ever before, and it's just so valuable. Like, and just really like asking people how they are, like not just through like little group messages and memes. Like, you get to know like what's really going on in your life. It's not so surface level, so I think that's been nice too.
Okay, so I want to give you three categories. So I
Okay.
just want you to give a little spiel on each or whatever like you feel most like passionate about. So the
Okay.
first category is love, sex, and relationships. So that can be platonic, that can be familial, that can be, romantic, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then society, culture, politics is the second one, and then spirituality and or religion is the last one because everyone's not religious.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, what kind of like jumps out with something you feel like you can like drop some gems?
So like in order, kind of.
Or you can just pick like whichever one. Like I do want you to talk a little bit about each, but whichever one you feel like you can really give an opinion on. So love, sex, relationships, society, culture, politics, spirituality, and or religion.
um hmm. Well, I mean, those definitely all play a role, and but for me, I would say the thing I value most, like I wouldn't have discovered politics or religion without the relationship I had with my family. So I would go with relationships, sex, and love. Like, I feel like people mold you into who you are and the type of person you are. So I grew up like um, going to church and all that, and then I was got really busy with soccer, and I kind of stopped going. But I've always kind of had this like spiritual relationship and belief of God. But without my mom, introducing that to me, I would have never had that experience. So I value relationships over everything. I mean, even when I'm in a relationship currently,
Mhm.
it's relationship for about 7 months. But even when I'm not in a relationship, and I'm not the type of person that's like always in a relationship either. I've
Mhm.
definitely been single for a long time before. But I just value it's like I've been to therapy a few times, and um, one thing they literally told me is they were like, you need a partner. And they were like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like someone in a relationship, but you do well with a partner. And I thought that was so interesting because, you know, I went to college and I moved home with my mom for a little bit, and she was my partner. It was like, we're on a routine. We're doing stuff together. I'm just like so much more motivated and able to do stuff with her, like cooking meals. We're going on walks. We're planning, talking about business plans and doing all this stuff. And it's just so awesome having my mom. And then before that, when I was in college, my best friend Carolyn, she was my partner. I don't know if you're familiar with the book called The Secret,
Yeah.
about the law of attraction and all that. And we felt like literally so weird because we were so into the book, and just the way we were talking to each other, people probably were like, these people are strange, but just we were so focused on like positive thinking and just the law of attraction and attracting good things to us and like getting good parking spot, just like little things. And it was just like so positive, such a like peaceful, like wonderful living space. And we were eating healthy and we were working out and going to hot yoga and doing all this stuff, and it was just so successful. So she was my partner in that aspect. And then what was very interesting that my therapist had mentioned was I grew up playing soccer in high school. I also did track and volleyball, but I did track for only 2 years, and I had like runner's anxiety. Like I would couldn't eat like the night before, the day of. I was like, whatever I eat is gonna like affect my race, and like I just was so stressed out. So I did the 400, the 4x4. I would literally run the 400 and like black out at the like through the finish line, like faint. Like I was literally had no energy, and like you need energy. But I would cause myself so much stress, and I got to a point. I lettered varsity my freshman year, and I just got to a point where I was like, I cannot do this because you know my times like inconsistency, and like it was too much pressure on myself. But with the team, I've been playing soccer my whole life. I played all through college, and it's like I was being held accountable through other people. So it's like all the fitness tests that I had to take all summer. We had a fitness test when we came back in the fall for preseason, and every summer I would run 6 miles every single day to make sure I could pass the fitness test. And it was a 2 mile and 12-minute fitness test. And I would do that because I was like, these are my teammates, and you know I'm going to be held accountable for them. And I never missed like a penalty kick or anything like that because it was like for my team. So I feel like I do better, and it's true, I just do better in a relationship, whereas depending on myself, I feel like I kind of don't do as well. So
Mhm. Yeah,
I
I feel like I'm
definitely,
like that too. I definitely need like an accountability buddy when like doing
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Um,
like someone in your corner.
yeah, for sure. Um, okay, yeah. I mean, I relate to like all of that. And me and my mom take walks too. I'm
Moms are the
like, that's
best.
just amazing that like I
So,
finally like found someone who like talks to their mom all the time and like walks and talks.
yeah,
Like, moms can be friends. Like people really have
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that divide and it's real.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so do you have anything you want to add regarding society, culture, politics, where you stand? Are you a voter? Like how you
Yeah, so
feel?
with politics, I've found so I grew up in Southern California, in a town called Temecula, and Temecula is not what you would think of like Southern California, liberal, like awesome people. it it was this town that was very conservative, and a little bit smaller, predominantly white. And so I grew up in this really like different space than like typical California. And as a middle schooler, high schooler, all you're trying to do is fit in. So I've always, my mom has instilled in me to be independent and strong in who I am. So I never was like, I always had my beliefs, but it just kind of was like, um, you're surrounded by these people and you kind of feel like you have to like hold back on who you are a little bit.
Mm,
So it wasn't until I got to college, which I went to college in northern Florida, which like was kind of a similar environment. It was very kind of Confederate flags and like there was some really redneck areas. But I was on this soccer team, and there was people that weren't from Florida. Um, and so it was a different experience, but just as an adult, my value on politics, it just was like who I associated with was like very important, because I just felt like I couldn't really relate to a lot of people that didn't think the same as me. And as terrible as that is, I think everyone can find a core interest or whatever. But it became very difficult to associate with people that didn't have my same beliefs. So I'm definitely liberal. I vote. Um, and I voted in the primaries. I plan to vote um, for the election. So um, Biden wasn't my first choice, but
I don't think he was
uh,
anyone's first.
but it's better than nothing. So um, yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel like as an adult, my relationships have been really centered around that, because I feel like people that aren't, it's kind of become this very separated world we live in. And it's like, it sucks that it's that way, but it's just people that don't kind of have the same political views as me. They just don't really understand me as a person and my culture and just being black. So it's something that I just, I mean, I'll say hi to you, but I just can't, I can't have my close circle be like that. So
Yeah, I feel you. Okay. So, what makes you uncomfortable? Like, what, I don't know, just makes you feel like, I don't want to be here?
um makes me uncomfortable. Hmm. I would say just feeling like, can it be like people or just like a specific
It can be
like
anything, like anything that makes you feel weird.
weird? Um, I would just say, that feeling where like you walk in a room and you feel like those people, or like if you're at a party or anything, I feel like people that are constantly talking down on other people, or just like always talking about other people and always having negative things to say and always kind of like gossiping. I find that it's hard to be around that, because you have this feeling that you walk in a room and or like you leave the room and you come back and you feel like they're talking about me. And that just makes me so uncomfortable. And as an adult, like, I have been so mindful of that. I would get so like I said, I'm pretty empathetic, and I can be kind of sensitive. So like when I went to college, I had 25 girls on my soccer team, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm gonna have like 25 best friends. Like, it's gonna be great. Because my club soccer team in high school, we were actually all like so close, which was obviously like so rare for 25 girls with all
Right.
the personalities to be able to get along. But we were like so close. So when I went to college, I was like, oh my God, like this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have so many best friends. And it hit me real quick that was not the reality. And I went to a small college, so my college was about 3,000 people. It was actually smaller than my high school.
Oh my
So
God.
everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew who everyone was sleeping with. If you slept with the same person, people's boyfriends and friends intermingling, sleeping with the same. It was just like it was a lot. So it was very high school in that sense. So like everyone knew everything, and just if you're like the new freshman coming in and the older girls like someone and you have no idea about it, and you're getting attention and you're getting bullied for getting attention and just things like that. So it just the I guess that makes me just super uncomfortable, and I've found just over time I used to like have like a million best friends, but now it's kind of like I value quantity over or quality over quantity
Mm,
because it's really hard to be around that. I'm a type of person that I need to like protect my energy, and if I feel like people are talking about me or would talk about me, I don't want to be like associated with that because I'm lucky. My best friends from home, they're like from middle school. So we've like middle school and like beginning of high school. So we've all been in a circle, and I just know that everyone's looking out for everyone's best interest, and isn't jealous of each other, and everyone's very different, has very different personalities. Like I'm into taking photos and fashion, and my friends could care less about that type of stuff. So it's kind of cool that we're all pretty different. But yeah, I just, that quality really bothers me. And I just am like, I can't associate. I just kind of remove myself um, in that situation. So
yeah, negative people suck.
yeah,
Like,
I
very
know.
big.
No, it's true. And like, how are you familiar with like the Enneagram test?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a three.
you're three, the achiever.
Yeah, the three wing two or something.
Brewing to it, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a 9 and I'm the peacemaker.
Oh,
So it literally says in there, and it's like, and it says even as you get older, you become more like this, but you just like, you're all about protecting your energy. So instead of like, you know, um, having a conflict with a situation and being like, that's makes me uncomfortable that I feel like you're talking about me or something, you just kind of remove yourself from anything that isn't um, like good energy all around. So I definitely am super aware of that. And I'm like, not that I'm a perfect person, but if I feel like someone isn't looking out for my best interest, or like I come in the room and they were probably talking about me or are about to, I'm just like, ugh, yeah, I can't. I can't with that. So,
what are you most afraid of?
what am I most afraid of? Um, I would say maybe getting old. um, like I'm super excited. I do want like the traditional lifestyle as like getting. I mean, maybe marriage, maybe not, but like I want kids and I want to be able to support them and have enough money to support them and all of that. But I just would be afraid to use lose my like youthfulness. That's something I always like hope to keep. So not that I can't have it as an adult, but I would be afraid of just like getting old and having all these illnesses, and that
Hmm.
scares me. So
Do you think there's a reason behind that? Like, have you seen a lot of older people or that are sick, or do you feel like that's
um my grandma passed away of lung cancer, and then my other grandma also has lung cancer. She's like an 18-year survivor, and I don't know a single person personally that has survived lung cancer. Like I don't know anyone. But she has half a lung, she has lung disease, and her my grandpa has really bad asthma, and she does breathing treatments like multiple times a day, and they both are just really compromised, especially during all this pandemic. But it's because she was a smoker. My other grandma that passed, though, she wasn't a smoker, and I have a lot of cancer in my family. But I definitely feel like I have like medical anxiety. Like I
um,
can be a little bit of a hypochondriac with stuff. Um, like this this whole thing at the very beginning was very stressful for me. Like my face was breaking out. I hadn't broken out in like 2 years because I was just kind of like, do I have it? Like every 5 seconds, thinking like a little cough,
Yeah.
just like, what was that? So I don't know. So I think, yeah, getting older and being ill, but I think it kind of goes back to just the anxiety of, yeah, like medical illness and like being afraid of like dying.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I think everyone associates getting old with getting sick and
Yeah.
dying, but I just didn't know if there was something, personal. And I mean, same thing. My mom's best friend just passed away from lung cancer like early last year, but she like wasn't a smoker. So it kind of
Yeah.
like caught everyone off guard. And also made me feel like, okay, so you don't even have to smoke to like get certain things and you don't have to like eat bad. So like I don't know. It just doesn't help like us hypochondriacs knowing like
Yeah, because
they're
you're just like,
avoiding like these.
and the internet, there's too much out. Like
Yeah,
you literally look one thing up and it's like you have it. Whatever it is, you have it. And that's why I have literally had to stop because I would be in the doctor every single week. I'm like, I cannot look stuff up. Like the symptoms, I didn't even look them up. But people, and that was another thing at the beginning, people were posting so much about symptoms with the coronavirus and this, and I was like, I can't even look at people's stories. Like,
yeah,
this is just out of control.
it's
So,
still terrifying. Like it's
mhm,
still. I mean, yeah, it's still crazy.
it is.
What do you think about how our generation communicates? So, as far as like you with people you know, and then you with people you just meet, and then also like you within your relationship, or maybe when you were in the dating phase, like how do you
Mhm.
feel about how we interact with each other?
I think that the whole social media thing is really messing things up in that aspect of the way our generation communicates. I personally am like introverted, and I think that social media just like makes it 20 times worse because I just feel like you don't have to like go out and like go when you're out whenever we go out again, who knows. I'm like, how am I even when I'm out? But like that you don't see people. I mean, there's always that random person, but you don't see people just going up and talking to people. You kind of stay in your little circle, and there's not a whole lot of intermingling. So the people you do meet, I feel like, are through like mutual friends or through like online dating, or that's how I met my boyfriend. And I just feel like things are different, and I feel like it's a lot of people are less people are getting in relationships. I've noticed, and I don't know if it's just because people are living longer, and guys are like realizing like I don't need to settle down in my 20s and my 30s, or if it's just that you know they don't feel like they need to like communicate. But as far as the way I do a good job, so like group texts I think are great. Me and my friends from middle school and high school, we have like a group chat where we talk every day, but it's like funny memes and surface level. So like I said, you don't like always know what's going on. Whereas like whenever we do a group FaceTime or Zoom call, we can get more like insight in that. And then I have people, anybody that's not in my group chats, we'll do like a FaceTime like a couple times a month, just to like, because I'm not texting them, daily. So like to figure out, how they're, what's going on in their life, what's new, things like that. Um, and I don't know, I've always like kind of moved, like I went to school across the country, and so I've kind of had to be in like long distance communication with people, so I've never been close to people. But yeah, I think people like I've heard comments like, "Oh, I don't feel like I need to go to my 10-year reunion because I already know what's going on with everyone because of Facebook and Instagram, because they have a kid and whatever." So things like that. But the dating world when I was single, um, people would communicate. I felt like there was a lack of like wanting to commit there for sure. Like I feel like that was just not because I always say this, like the world we are in right now, it's like my grandparents when they met, they were walking down the street and lived, right next to each other and met and then, have been together for 50 plus years. But, now it's like the we have like the whole world, so it's like you can see everyone within a 20-mile, 100-mile radius and you have all these options. So I feel like people kind of um, that's maybe why they're like not committing because they're like, well, I have all these options available to me. Um, so maybe that has something to do with it. Um, but yeah, I think it's I don't know what the answer is though because I feel like social media is this great thing where you can network and stuff, but I think as far as just like talking to people and getting to know people, I think there's that's lacking in um, and keeping genuine relationships unless someone's like one person's really putting in the effort. Um, and I met when I first moved here, I met people from like Germany, and they were like U.S. people. You like meet them once, and then they like never want to talk to you again, and they apparently want to like keep a relationship and continue talking to people even if it's like just as friends. So I thought that was interesting. But they were like people in the U.S. Yeah, you talked to them once, and that's like
Yeah, then it's just like, why are you calling me? Like we met
yeah,
like once. Like that's
yeah, yeah. So I think um I mean, I don't know. I see my parents and how they interact with different people, and um, they talk. My name's blah blah blah. They're at a party, and like just they talk to people, and I feel like we go to parties, we go to gatherings, and people are just kind of hanging out with who they know.
yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking to I think my mom about that. She was like, "Why don't you guys dance? Like people don't dance anymore."
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, there was that like middle school, high school phase, which was like embarrassing at homecoming when everyone
yeah,
was like dancing, but nothing. It was never like you're not gonna go to a club and meet someone. And they're gonna be like, "Can I have this dance?" And
yeah.
then like dance
That's
to them.
different.
Like
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. And then like back to what you were saying about like the lack of commitment in dating, it's kind of like makes me think about how people, well, especially like dudes, like make fun of Drake for like
Hmm.
showing any kind of feeling towards women
Hmm.
and saying that he's like weak because he's
Yeah.
talking about like love and shit. And I'm like, is it because people are scared to look weak? Like, is it because people don't want to like seem pressed? Which I'm like, if you don't show any kind of emotion ever, how's the person? How are you supposed to grow with the person emotionally if you're always kind of just saying like, oh, I'm not gonna get caught like looking obsessed with this person or being, like I just feel like there's all these stigmas and like weird pressures we've put on dating and
Yeah.
like meeting people that make people scared to actually open up and like be close with people.
Yeah, no, I think so too. There's definitely that like toxic masculinity about yeah, like you're weak for like caring and there's this like whole thing where it's like, men can't cry and I think it's so toxic for on so many levels. I saw something about a study just like men are like 3.5 times more likely to like commit suicide, and it's just like they and no one even knows anything is going on because their emotions are so suppressed. So,
We gotta do better with
mm-hmm.
like letting people open up to us.
Yeah, and so it's so interesting about that too. So I grew up California, and Black, and my family, we talk about, there's a lot of emotion and we talk about everything and we're super open with each other.
Mhm.
Um, and my boyfriend is from the Midwest, and like they, like him and his family, like they don't talk about like anything. And like so he's one of four boys, and they just don't talk about stuff, and I just think that's so weird. So like I am actually moving back to California in the fall, and me and my boyfriend have been dating for 7 months. And he is going to leave his job, get a new job, and move to California too. We're not going to move in together, but just so we can be like close.
Yeah.
And I think it's so awesome. And so, I was telling my mom, and she's like asking all the questions. And then he told his parents, and I told my mom, like, oh yeah, he told his parents. He's like, well, what did they have to say? I was like, nothing. Like, what do you mean? They were like, oh, that's awesome. And she's like, if my son, because I have a brother, she's like, if my son was moving across country for a girl that he's been dating for 7 months, not that there's anything wrong with that, but she's like, I would have a lot of questions. Like,
Yeah.
where, like, you're leaving your job, what's the next plan? Like, just like of concern. And like, it just, I feel like, I don't know if it's like Midwestern culture, the fact that it's like all boys, but they just like don't talk about stuff and like suppress things going on in their lives. So I've been like super encouraging to him to like talk to his brothers about things. And like he actually has, like, I've, because like we'll have these discussions about like things that I know about my family, or like because he grew up in Midwest, like conservative area, and his whole family is like liberal, and he grew up and was raised like liberal. And I was like, well, how did they like get to where they were? Like, how did they become that way? And he's like, I've actually like never asked them that. And I'm like, what? Like, my family would like, that would just be 100% a discussion about, you know our neighbor, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it just, we would be talking about that. So um I've been like giving him, like, we've had these little discussions, and he's been like asking his brothers questions and asking his family questions. He's like, I need to be better about like asking them how they're doing and stuff, because just like all boys, they don't. And I'm like, but like some, like, and guys do, like, I'll hear him on the phone, I'll have it on speaker, and I can like hear them like wanting to talk about their feelings but not wanting to like push, so they're not gonna like open up unless he like pries with a question. And he's been doing that, and he's like, it's actually really helpful. I'm glad you're like having me do that. So
That's awesome. Is he black too, or is he white?
no, he's white. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm so happy that he's going to California with you.
Yeah, he's
It's gonna
like,
be so fun. What is one of the hardest conversations you've had to have, and like how did you muscle through that? So whether you didn't want to have the conversation or the person that you like needed to talk to didn't want to have the conversation, like what was the conversation? How did you, I guess, like muster the energy to have it? And, like what was the outcome of that?
um hmm. Okay. The only thing I can like really specifically think of, so when and I think this definitely played a big role in me and my mom's like super open relationship. So I was um, going into my freshman year of high school, and I was on my soccer team, and I would hang out with the girls all the time. They lived in San Diego, and I was in Temecula, which is like an hour north. But I would like spend the night at their house and stuff because they were closer for practice and games. So I would hang out with them a lot. And one of the girls on my team had like set me up with her boyfriend's cousin to like hang out and whatever. So I had been texting the guy for a little, and then I end up losing my virginity to this guy. Um, and I was like about to be a freshman in high school, and the girl, I think she got like jealous about it because her mom was like very one of those like chill, like you can have boys sleep over, parent, and like stuff like that. But she like told her mom to tell my parents. So the mom told my parents about this, and I was like 14, so super young. And so then I had to have that conversation with my parents at 14 about me losing my virginity, and they just like felt like they didn't know me at all because they didn't know where I was, how this happened. And my mom like just cried and was so heartbroken because she just felt like, why like aren't you talking to me type thing. So I honest ever since then, like we literally talk about anything and everything. So we've had this open relationship, but it was really hard to talk about. I had to take this pregnancy test with my dad, which is like mortifying at 14, like literally like so terrible.
Mhm.
But I think it really created this like open relationship. And so I'm one of two. My brother's older and I'm the youngest, and it created this relationship where it was like, we're not going to be the strict parents. We just want to know what's going on. And I honestly, if like when I'm a parent, I want to raise my kids exactly the way my parents raised me, because when I was in high school, they were just like, we don't want you driving. So if you're going to drink, we're going to pick you up, take
Mm,
you there. Like, we just don't want you driving. So, like, if you're going to do it, we can't stop it. But, we can control, you getting in the car and harming someone else, harming yourself. So they were just like, let me know what you're doing and we're going to be there and talk to us about everything. So, I didn't have curfew, but like I needed to tell them where I was at. And I didn't break rules because of that. I wasn't like, out till 5 a.m. I was probably home by midnight every night because, I didn't have that pressure of like trying to rebel against something. It was just kind of like, no one's telling me not to do it. So I just kind of, you know, I'm gonna do the right thing. So I think that was good. And I think sports kept me in line too,
yeah.
for sure. So I
Yeah, that's
wasn't getting
common
the
with people that play sports, or at least I know because you're like so busy with like practice and everything else that it's like, how do you get into other
yeah,
things?
yeah. So that was like the most memorable, like terrible conversation between my parents. I remember the drive home with my dad. It was like an hour, and like my mom was more upset because she was hurt, and my dad was upset, but it was just kind of like, oh my god, this is mortifying as like a teenager. But
And
ever
like a
since,
new teenager, like so young.
yeah, I was like, yeah, ever since I was like, ugh. But
Okay. What is the most challenging thing that you've gone through thus far? And like, what advice do you have for someone that may be going through that right now?
so I think the most challenging thing I've ever gone through is um 2018. I graduated college April 2018. I did 5 years. And then I was home applying to jobs. I was living at home, and I just like couldn't find a job like whatsoever. Um, I just like really struggled. I have a business and art degree, so graphic design and photography and business, and I was doing freelance photo jobs, but it was like nothing sustainable to where I was like, because I wanted to move to LA, that was my dream. So like for me to be able to like move to LA and like be able to pay rent, like it wasn't like I didn't feel like safe enough in that environment. So I wanted like a job to be stable, and so I just like couldn't find a job. So I was spending a lot of time just all day like on the computer applying for stuff, and just both my parents were gone working. And I feel like people don't, and I don't know if everyone goes through this, but like I feel like people don't talk about like the college transition, like after college and then going into the real world. And it was like so difficult for me because I didn't have, that's the first time I didn't have like a routine. Like you go to your classes, you go to practice, like high school, college, I had all of that. So it was just like very weird. And then, I don't have the independence of living at home, which, like, I mean, I didn't mind because me and my mom get along so well. But it was just like so different. And I don't know what happened, but just, being cooped up in the house for like months at a time, I started to get so anxious. And that's kind of like, I guess I've like always had anxiety my whole life, but I didn't know I really had it because sports were like a big distraction for me. Um, and I wasn't like really working out much. And so sports kind of distracted me. So I didn't notice it, I guess. And then I had so much anxiety. One day I remember I was on Accutane, which was it's kind of similar, it has a similar like side effects to like Adderall, like your heart races and like all those kinds of things. I had like a iced coffee that day, which like I normally have one a day, like nothing crazy. And I was having headaches from side effects from my Accutane medicine. And um and with all that, I just like, and that's all caffeine. So the Accutane for my acne was similar to like Adderall, heart racing, the coffee, and then I took Excedrin for my headache, which has caffeine in it. So it was like a
Like a lot
big
of
mix.
stimulant.
Yeah, a lot of stimulant. And I had just come back from Vegas, and I like barely drank in Vegas because I was kind of just like getting anxious and weird, like just feeling weird, but not like totally. And then I remember I um, like had a job interview or something, and it went really well, and I was like super excited. And then me and my mom like went to celebrate, went to the mall, we got some dessert, and then we were like walking around, and I just remember like starting to freak out. I'm like, Mom, like I feel like I just ran 100-meter sprint and I'm standing here. Like my heart is racing so fast. And she's like, that's so weird. And my mom like does not have anxiety or anything, so like she's like, that's weird. And so we just like keep walking on. I'm like, I don't feel good. She's like, you want to go home? We'll just go home. So we get in the car and I'm like, I don't feel good. So then she's like, just calm down. Like, let's go to the house, like take a bath or something. And then like I'm about to like take off my clothes to take a bath, and I was like, I'm like not okay. Like I'm like I need to go to the hospital. And she's like, you'll feel better in the water. I'm like not okay. I like need to go to the hospital. So we like rushed to the hospital. I was like stressing, like not breathing and like stressing myself out so much that like I was like everything was starting to like curl up, like my toes, my hands, and like I was just like hyperventilating. And so I get to the hospital, and they like didn't really know, but they were like, this is like probably a panic attack. So they give me some medicine for it. And I just like after the hospital, I just like kept feeling weird like the whole weekend. I was just like, I'm like not okay. um, and then I went to a cardiac specialist, and was like, then it was like a month full of tests. And I remember that whole month thinking like, I have heart issues, like I'm gonna have a heart attack, like just like, so I like it was like a full month of just like panic. Like I definitely was like just thinking like something's wrong with me, like I'm gonna die any second because my heart won't stop racing. And I like had the Apple Watch, I had like an app on my phone, and I was checking it like every 5 seconds, like my heart is racing, my heart is racing, my heart is racing. And then you're thinking about it, and my heart's racing even more. And
Right.
just completely like one whole month of just like, I went out with friends. My parents were like gone for the weekend, and I remember, and I went to college for 5 years. I was able to be by myself, like, but I remember I went out with my friends and they were gone, and I had this like out of body experience where I was like walking around the club. I wasn't drinking or anything because the doctor suggested like no alcohol for the month, and it was like an out of body experience, like I was on acid or something. Like I've never taken it, but like if it would probably be like that. Like
Yeah.
everything was like blurry, like I was like hallucinating almost, and like I was there, people were talking to me and I was responding, but like I was not in my body. Like it was the weirdest thing ever. And then like the day after, I had like freaked out with my friends. We were all at a sushi place. I had to like go outside because I was like starting to sweat and like thought I was gonna faint. And so like over the course of like this whole month, and maybe took like the anxiety medicine like twice, because I know it's like highly addictive. And I was like, even though I'm feeling terrible, like it's not doing much. Like I take it and it makes me like calm but like sleepy, but it's not like fixing the issue. So I was like, I don't want to just like keep taking this.
Yeah.
So I got the results like end of October, and they like told me nothing's wrong with my heart. And then I kind of just like was like, all right, well, nothing's wrong with my heart. And then I kind of like started doing better. And then I just had like started having like stomach issues and like had to go to the GI doctor because like I would eat and get full, and just like such bad anxiety. And it was just like the transition from like college to the real world and like trying to find like myself and what I want to do. And like I don't know, just like it kind of saved me like moving and like getting out of that space and just being occupied and like focusing on my Instagram. And like then I just like finally was able to like relax, but like have my job and like work on my Instagram and just like keep myself busy. And I never like went back to that place, but it was just like I just like couldn't handle it. I was so stressed out, and it was like the scariest. I literally was like, I like can't even speak to people because like I might not be alive the next day. Like I literally thought that. It was so
Um,
crazy, and I was like, this is like I didn't even know this existed. Like, but it was just like me psyching myself out. And after going to a few like cognitive behavioral therapy sessions where they taught me how to like just like relax my body and like just you know, not stress myself out if I'm like feeling panicked, how to like calm myself down. And so ever since I've just realized like it's mental. And like, you know,
mm,
if I'm thinking about my heart racing, there's times where I'm like, oh, I feel like my heart's racing, but I have to just tell myself like it's anxiety, like I'm not gonna die. So
yeah.
I, that was like probably the scariest.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's like straight up like anxiety attack for like days on end.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you're a really strong person to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna teach myself other ways to calm myself down or to remind myself that it's all in my head, nothing's really wrong, like I'm not really in danger. Um, I too suffer with, I have a lot of anxiety. I've only had one anxiety attack, but I can't imagine having that feeling for days on end. Like, I'm
Gosh.
so sorry you had to go through that. But thank you for sharing that though, because I know that was a personal experience of yours. What is something that you don't want to tell people or don't normally share but know you should share because it could help someone else?
About myself or
It can be anything. Usually people say something about themselves because it's usually something they keep close, but there's always someone out there that's like enduring the thing that you feel like you're kind of alone in. But if you don't have anything like that, then I would just say like just anything you usually don't really, I guess, talk about, but feel like it could help someone else.
I would go to the like so growing up in Southern California, I feel like you kind of grow up in this environment where you like wear, you know, crop tops, and you wear like not a whole lot of clothes because it's hot, it's warm. And so like that's kind of how I grew up. And then I went to college in a beach town in um, Florida, and you know it's like kind of the same thing. And then I've moved to like different places in between then, and it like wasn't totally like acceptable to like wear clothes like that. So I would tell people to like, you know, embrace who they are and not be ashamed and not, this whole culture of like being hyper sexualized and stuff for like what we wear, and being presented as like this type of person, and like who people assume who we are. I think it's such a terrible thing, and that you should just own who you are, and like not think twice about it. Like if you want to wear that low cut shirt, or if you want to wear that crop top or short shorts, like you should, and you shouldn't feel ashamed of it, and you shouldn't feel pressure from family, friends, relationships. If anyone's making you feel bad about that, I don't think um, that's like a genuine connection. I mean, I understand concern, like if someone's worried about your other people harming you or hurting you because of what you're posting about or whatever, um, because of the amount of clothes you wear or whatever. But I think like I've always kind of just owned that, and like not really paid attention to older people's comments and stuff, because I'm like, this is who I am, and like I can't wear this forever, when I'm and
Right.
that's another fear of being old. When I'm 80, I can't wear the same clothes I can now, so why not embrace it? And I
Right.
don't think it makes me um, any less, or not as professional or respectable, because I like to wear crop tops, so I think I don't talk about it a lot, and it can be like a little bit of people do start to make you feel a little uncomfortable sometimes and make little comments, but it's like you just have to own it. So
Yeah. Okay. What do you think is something that people usually get wrong about you? Like, what do you think? What do you want people to know about you and understand about you? And what's something that people usually get wrong, like just on face value?
yeah, I think people, I come off very like stuck up, and so I'll say this, and some people are like, I don't get that, but like generally speaking, I've gotten you seem stuck up, or just like not approachable, and I'm just shy. Like ultimately I'm just like a shy person, and so I do good in small groups, or if I'm at a big party, I cling to someone and I have deep conversations like this with them, because it's just like it's more comfortable to talk about life than like just surface level, like because I'm not really good about like being like fake, and like not like just I just feel like the like little questions aren't, you don't like, you're not getting to know someone.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can come off very like stuck up or standoffish, and it's just not true. I value like close relationships, and I value genuine people, and so I'm only going to put my energy into that, and I probably won't approach someone first. They probably have to approach me first, unless it's like on the internet, then I feel like probably more comfortable. But yeah, so I feel like people get that they get that wrong about me.
Okay. That's interesting because number one, I definitely don't get that from you, but I guess it's because of the way that we're like meeting. So from the
Yeah.
beginning, you're like super nice and welcoming. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. People have always like, oh, you seem stuck up, you seem bougie, you seem um yeah, I don't know, like mean. That's like the first thing. And I'd always be like, we haven't even talked. Like we don't even what have I done to make you feel that but I guess it's that thing where it's like because I'm not necessarily shy, but I also like don't go out of my way to like talk to someone I don't
Yeah.
know.
And it's just, I think comments like those ultimately, if you're judging someone without like getting to know them,
Hmm.
that shows who you are as a person. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good intuition about people, so I might have an opinion on someone, or how I think the type of person they will be, but I will give them a chance and get to know them. And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, like I hope they prove me wrong if I have some type of bad idea about
Right.
someone. But it's not, I've never been like, oh, I just kind of feel like, oh, they have a genuine authentic soul or they don't. It's usually like one or the other. So I usually get that. But one other thing I would also say though is I think people, once they do get to know me, I feel like my whole life, the whole empathetic side of me and like wanting to just keep the peace with everything has gotten kind of taken advantage of. I feel like people have walked all over me and like to me however they want to talk and kind of like used me for it because they feel like, oh, well, she's not gonna like stick up and like, you know, say how, or she's not gonna like, um, stick up for herself. So
Mm,
I feel like that's been frustrating because it's like just because I'm, not gonna be like confrontational about things doesn't mean I, you know, don't have feelings and, um, I don't want to be treated poorly. So it's kind of frustrating. And I
yeah.
wish that wasn't the case. So,
Thank you for sharing that. I can definitely relate to that. Three more questions. Number one, what is missing? And this can
with
be in your life or just like in the world. Like, what do you feel is missing?
mm, with me, I think that I still have like more potential.
Mm,
So I feel like, I mean, I'm still young, but I just think I have more to give, like creatively. I have plans to like start my own like swimwear line, and I just have like all these plans creatively, and so I think I have a lot of potential, and um, I hope to achieve those things in time. Um, and with the world, it's such a scary place. I think empathy is missing, honestly. I mean, I think people are so selfish that they just care about them and what affects them. So if they're not black, it's not affecting them.
mm,
And, they can't relate because, they don't have family members or some of them do, but they're so far removed that like, it's not affecting them. And with like, um, yeah, just empathy. Like I just think the world needs more of that because they need to put themselves in other people's shoes and realize people are going through so much. I mean, anytime I am in a situation where I'm like really upset or feel like I'm going through like a really hard time or have just like been struggling for a few days, months, whatever it may be, I everything that brings me out of it every single time is like someone is going through way worse than me, and um, not that you should make your problems feel smaller because
yeah,
everyone's problems are problems, but it's just there's so much out there in the world that people are dealing with that are really difficult. And so I think people need to put themselves in other people's shoes and realize, like, like, how would I feel if I was in this situation? So, yeah.
mm. What do you need to heal? So there are two questions in that. There's like, what do you need in order to heal? And then like, what is something that you feel you need to heal that you've kind of been like pushing down or kind of like saying like, oh, like deal with that internally later. Like, is there anything that you've been kind of putting off still that you still struggle with, I guess?
Um, so, kind of what I touched on earlier as far as healing, like, I think I need to let go of, like, the fact that, I'm not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I need to, like, make peace with that and, not be disappointed when, you know, connections aren't what you think they're going to be or whatever. Because, there's relationships, family members, friendships for everyone. And so I think, you know, that is something that I just need to like be at peace with. Um, and what do I need to heal? Um, would say I would just say more self love and um, valuing myself for who I am, and just like respecting myself because I need to hold myself to a standard that like doesn't put up with, you know, toxic behavior and let people walk all over me. I need to be better about that, standing up for myself.
Mm,
Yeah.
same. And the last question, all of the power goes out, the phone screens, TV screens, computer screens stay on, but all the rest of the power is out. And it's like PSA, public service announcement, and then it's your face. So the whole world can see you. And I know you're like an introvert. So this might kind of make you feel like I'm not really trying to be on camera right now, but like if you had the world's ear, and it doesn't have to be an apocalyptic situation, but like what would you say? Like what do you feel like you would want to share or do
Um,
or whatever?
yeah. I mean, back to my message, I just would want to tell the world, like, be more empathetic, think about other people besides yourself, like, in your situations and people that affect you. It's more than just that, because there's a lot of things going on in this world, and put yourself in other people's shoes. And I think, like, culturally, I think that people should, like, branch out of their cultures. Like, I saw something that was like 8 out of 10 white people don't have any friends that aren't or of another race.
Mm,
And it's just like, I like sent this um, text to my friends, so maybe I would want to share this to like Gen Z and millennials. I would say, like, please teach your kids to not be racist.
yeah.
And that goes for Black families, that goes for um, white family. It goes for all families. Because if you have interracial marriage or something, like, your kids can still be racist, and they can, there I know people that are mixed race, and they learn from one parent, and they didn't learn about them, the other side of them, and so teach kids that you don't have these advantages because you're Black, or you do have these advantages because you're not Black. And don't say the little prejudices about different races, because it all starts with that. They hear these little comments about, Asian people not being able to drive, Mexicans not being educated, that Black dark girl on the show isn't pretty. And, like, they hear these little comments from their parents, and then their kids saying it at school to their peers, and then everyone has this either self-hate or this view of the world, and it affects you to like being an adult, and then how you raise other people. So I would just say, like, teach your kids to not just to love everyone and treat everyone equal, because that's not enough.
Mm,
Like, you need to recognize your advantages and your privilege, and regardless of what kind of privilege that could be able-bodied, cisgender, that could be, there's so many things. So recognize your privileges and what other people don't have, and your advantages, and then immerse yourself in different types of cultures. um, so yeah.
thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
Really
thank you for
beautiful.
having.
Did you get to draw anything?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. What did you draw? Let's see it.
I just put empathy.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so, so much for doing this.